Let's see if Twitch also starts. Maybe maybe this could be down here, and then maybe the chat should be over here, and maybe this could be underneath here, like that. Maybe that makes more sense. Yes. Maybe this should actually be something else. All right. Which seems to be running. What about YouTube? Let's see if our welcome message goes through. We've got that in here, and I think we're live on YouTube. I think we're live on Twitch. So far, so good. Restream doesn't like the bitrate, but I hope that'll be okay. Maybe I need to reduce the bitrate. I upped it a little. I don't know if I can do it while we're running. If I do it 4,600, something like that. I don't know if it'll adjust the bitrate while we're streaming. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Okay. All right. I was just fiddling with my local setup for the database server connection, and it wasn't working well, but now it seems to be working. I think it was maybe because my timeouts were really short, because they were designed that if something goes wrong on the live system, it'll fall back more quickly without interruption. So I had them at 300 milliseconds, but since from here maybe to connect to the remote server it takes a bit longer. But really I don't actually want to do it this way. What I really want to do is I want to get a local backup. And by local I don't mean off the local database, but I mean a backup off the remote server locally. Oh, hey, Jasmine. Yeah, I did that the other day. I might manage to do that with the help of a few summons. Yeah, sorry I didn't manage to stream on the day that I said I would. I just didn't manage. And I filled in a few missing things. I found a rhino that I hadn't defeated yet, and there was one of the furnace golems that were also missing. But right now is my regular Sunday evening slot where I actually do some work streaming. So you can stick around, but no Elden Ring, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm just pulling a backup of a database. Oh, out on the sea. How much fun. I assume on a boat. Where is my command for loading the server backup in? I thought I had put it in here, but it's not here. Would I have put it here or here? Restore, deploy, sync, backup, deploy, no. So I'm guessing it should have been here, except that it put it here. That is a different one. That's for the weekly stats. I have a script here somewhere that I was using. Ah, I think it's this one. Alright. I'd like to put that in here. But it needs a file name, so it's not going to be a full thing. Restore personal DB back. So that's a restore from backup. And it's basically going to be this command. And I'm going to go full screen for a sec because it's a little messy. So it'll be this. Right. And then we'll want to run that. We'll do that. Do that. And this needs to be this. Except it's not gonna be accurate. I'll probably should leave it blank. Can I? I wonder if there's a way of putting a command into the command line, but not actually executing it. Like, npm npm script of write command without executing. Write command to a prompt. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, no. All right. We created a file here now. Does it tell me which file it is? No. It does not. Okay. So, well, we have to go here. And it'll be the most recent file, I presume. Today's the 25th. So I'm guessing it'll be this one. So for now, I'm just gonna put it in here. Like that. Now see why this is gonna be... maybe I can do single quotes like that. And like that. Walking on the sea. Oh, like, I did that as a kid in the North Sea, near Hamburg in Germany, where the water is really shallow, like a centimeter or less, and it's just sort of wet sand almost, and you can walk for kilometers. It's a fond memory, but man, I have not been back in many, many years. All right, let's see if this runs. Ooh. That was too fast. Way too fast. Something here wasn't right. Maybe that wasn't supposed to be a double and. Maybe that's supposed to be just a single and. I think these are supposed to be single ands. For these kinds of commands, for chaining commands. No, double ands, huh? Okay. I don't know what's happening there. But it seems to be working now, so it's restoring the database. Hey, Mark! You did not see any notifications. I posted in both of the chats. And, I don't know, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, you should get a notification. But that's really up to YouTube. Ring the bell and all that. By the way, Mark, so I was thinking about... Because, was it Chameleon who posted that? Or was it... yeah, Chameleon posted the whole feature about Caterpillar and stuff, and obviously it should be a Caterpillar feature, it should be a large puzzle feature, or just a generic feature. And similarly, you know, I'm starting to get concerned that I'm loading so many different features in. Like, if I have 30 features, even if they're only 10k each, it's a while to load in all these JavaScript files, and most of them don't do anything most of the time, right? Like, the emoji feature does nothing if it's not enabled, and the fog feature does nothing on non-fog puzzles. And I think what I really need is, I need to come up with basically an API where every feature is split into a very, very tiny piece of code that simply determines if the feature needs to be loaded. So, for example, the feature could be, like, for the fog feature, one that determines if the puzzle requires the fog puzzle, right? Or, like, for the emoji feature, it could be simply the code that creates the toggle, the setting. And only if the setting is on, does it load the rest. Or, if the setting's on, it checks if emojis are present. And only that, you know... I mean, some of the stuff, like the emoji images, only get loaded, right? But each feature currently has maybe 5k of code or something. And it might be worthwhile to actually only load the actual code itself, like the main code file, when the feature is required. So, for example, all these feature files, like if I add them up, I mean, they're currently, you know, 267 kilobytes, which isn't too bad right now. But for example, the stream tool, right? The stream tool most people will never need, and that's 30k, right? So I think in the long term, at least, I need to kind of consider having a way, and I don't think I can do it without custom code from the feature. Like, I cannot have a generic, you know, like, I cannot rely on a flag in a puzzle to decide if a feature needs loading, because the feature might not be related to a puzzle, you know? Like the screenshot feature, for example, you know, there's no reason for any code to get loaded. It's already dynamically loading third-party libraries if required, or like the animation, the GIF animation feature, you know, it loads the GIF library only when you're actually asking it to build it. But even the code that builds the dialogue and all that stuff, that could also be in a separate file, right? So the feature itself could literally just be the button in the settings and things like that. And those could be potentially done via declaratively, right? Instead of being custom code, they could literally be like, there could be a variety of things that features can check for, you know, like pattern matching against puzzle data, a dialogue, or a toggle, etc., you know. Anyway, long-term thinking, not something I need to worry about right now. Right now, I just want to know if now my local puzzle data is up to date, and I should be able to shorten these timeouts again. And now, I should be able to load this data without it going to the remote server. Okay, and that should mean I should also be able to open this. Okay. Sweet. So, now I'm gonna look at this Caterpillar feature code and see how that integrates. Before we do that, let's look at the server. Did I... Yeah, oh my god, I still need to update it as well. There's so much pending code changes that I need to update. Oh yeah, and I was working on the fun stuff. Yeah, I was also working last couple of days on finishing the upgrade to the screenshot API, and it's just to try to get the emoji and the fonts to work correctly is a huge pain in the butt. Like, I had to go as far as basically loading each of the emoji images, converting them to base64 encoded inline PNG data, not even SVG data, and then integrating them into the thing. And even then, it wasn't working correctly. And then sometimes it wouldn't load. It would, you know, 6 times the same image, one would load, the other 5 wouldn't. And because it's all, I'm dependent on, you know, the Puppeteer system, and I don't have full insight, and it's obviously running a Linux version of Chromium inside WSL on my system, and obviously on the server also headerless and all this stuff. So I don't have a lot of insight, and it's very hard to debug. So I started getting a bit frustrated. And I was feeling, you know, like the files would get really large, like the screenshot files, and a lot of work was being done on the server and so on. So I might have to rethink how I do it. And one of the things I want to do for the fonts at least is to at least clean up the fallback fonts. So for example, what I was thinking is, instead of calling my externally loaded font Roboto, I could call it Roboto SudokuPad, right? And then have that as a fallback font to Roboto. So if somebody has Roboto installed on their system, hopefully it wouldn't even load the remote file, the remote font file. So, and then if I don't know, there's a fallback font in there in the list that I haven't really curated properly that looks really bad in the screenshots, where plain Arial would look almost acceptably fine. And maybe it might even make sense to have, for the puzzle fonts, just fonts with a very limited subset of characters, you know. So over time, I'd like to clean that up and kind of integrate the fonts that I use in the board rendering directly. You know, because for the screenshots, like for the SVG screenshot fonts to render correctly, I actually have to base64 include the font. Like, having them remotely linked to the Google, you know, URLs just doesn't work for some reason, you know. But like, I just kind of whacked that in there, and I think I'm gonna undo these changes because I don't think right now I'm not ready to do this. And to do it, I think it needs to be done well and separately, like as an independent change, not as part of a bunch of other things. So first of all, I'm gonna find these font files. And then I'm gonna move them out of here, and I think I'm just gonna quickly dump them somewhere. SudokuPad, fonts. I'm just gonna, boom. Like, boom, Roboto current. I'll just put them in there for now, and I'm gonna undo the changes here. So I was just embedding the fonts as... Well, first I was trying to load them locally, but that didn't fix it. So I actually had to embed the fonts as base64 encoded data as well, which actually kind of sort of worked, but it was, you know, it wasn't great. And I was trying to include the font styles here, and I think I want to undo some of this as well. Because I think it wasn't just included. Yeah, because I was in this code, I was basically looking for fonts in the style sheets, and then asynchronously fetching them before generating the screenshot, right? So for example, if I press screenshot here, which might actually be a bad... I clicked, right? Is it dying? Yeah. Okay, that's how long the screenshot takes to render. Okay, that's... We definitely need also like timeouts and progress bars and all that sort of thing. But yeah, this... So if I say... This is SVG, right? So if I say new tab, this SVG data should now include the fonts as base64 encoded data. In fact, yeah, here it loads it. Can I see the actual size of this? 2.1 megabytes. Yeah, this I think is only 400. It was 400 kilobytes before. Now it's 2.1 megabytes. And I wouldn't be surprised if part of that is because it loads some certain things multiple times. Actually, what I'm gonna do is, can I just copy all of that? Does that work? I do this, right? And then I do a Control W. No, Control Shift W. That should break long lines, but does it help me find the long lines? I got so much repetition as well. Why are there so many empty text elements here? Where do all these come from? No wonder this file is huge. What the heck? Wait a second. Why are there a million empty text elements? That must be something that got generated by Chameleon's system, I imagine. You know, what if I do something like this? Document query selector all text. Right, 27,000. Can I filter these? No, I have to turn them to an array first. Filter element el.text content equals empty string. Oh, okay. 26,000 text elements. Are you kidding me? All right. Can I... Oh, this is bad. Can I slice? No, I cannot slice. Because I really don't necessarily want to get all 26,000. And if I slice here, the work is already done, I think. Oh, no, that's not too bad. Okay. So if I then just go filter, or I'll just map el.text content. All right. That should be only 100. Okay. Okay. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Why does it take so long? I'm not sure. Hmm. 1,000. Can I sort these? So there are empty ones. Dot filter el.text content equals empty string. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. Length 688. Okay, so if I do this for all of them, this should give me all the text elements. Is the chat working? I expected, Mark, that you would say something else after that message. Mark? Anybody here? All right, so it's 26,000 of empty strings. And there's 312 that aren't. All right, let me send a chameleon a message. And I found how much? How many? 26,700. Yeah, makes me wonder how he actually gets the empty text elements into the data. So I'm trying to remember in source puzzle, what would the text elements be represented as? Because it doesn't have that many underlays in here. So it makes me wonder what actually makes these text boxes. Because, you know, there are not 26,000 elements here that it could convert to text boxes. So I'm curious where these text elements come from and what's generating them. Let's see. Or is it something from this caterpillar grids feature that's he asking? No, it couldn't be. My system doesn't look at them at all. I mean, these are just... Well, text element, text stroke. Text 12, okay. There are 327 or something text elements in here. Now, these underlays could also generate text boxes, but not 23,000. Am I looking at the wrong thing here? Wait a second. What about text under SVG? We map this el.text content. SVG text 27,000. So, I mean, here they are, cell values. Do cell values? Am I confusing myself here? Do cell values... Do I need empty text boxes for things that don't have text in them? You know, like pencil marks and all this? No, they're empty here. Cell value empty. Wait a second. Restart. Is it possible that... Like a long time ago, I entered a number into everything and then erased it again, and that's generating these empty text value elements? But it shouldn't. Ah, in fact, cell value is empty now. Oh, okay. That's literally what it was. Wait a second. So that means if I enter values, let's say here, and then I remove them, I now have more, and they don't get erased. Well, that's probably something I'll probably want to not have happen. Okay. Let me think. So my rendering engine, and hey Mark, so in the SVG render, not in the SVG render actually, in the cell class, right? When we're clearing a property here, do we not remove the element when it's no longer needed? Right, so if value, if this provisible value, okay. And blah 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 blah. Prop visible has prop set. Rendering. My indenting here is inconsistent. So we have render content. Here we go. Render content. Why are these indented and these aren't? Anyway, and let me see, because I was undoing some changes here. Yeah, I gotta not get sidetracked. Let's see. So render prop pen. If they're different, right? Render prop default. Render prop default. So this renders the cell value thing. Text content.length. Render values. I think the problem here is that we're never removing the element once it's been added. So if I do this, vals prop by vals, is this gonna be catastrophic for a large puzzle? I don't know if it will be. It might be. Like, what is it doing for all this time? I also hate that I don't get CPU graphs at all for some reason. You'd think, you know, if the whole browser's basically locked up, I'll have some kind of CPU usage here. Possible proxy web. What? Oh, okay. All right, right. So we have givens, just givens. So wait a second. If we're getting just givens here, 368. Oh, wow. Okay, so if you refresh it, those aren't there? So 368 right now. And if I do, you know, if I just select a bunch of empty cells here, I give them a number, and then I delete the number. 454. So these, when the value gets deleted, when the value is empty, they aren't removed. Okay. Get child element. So clear child element is what's removing them. But when is that getting done? Prop candidates. So if I do this with candidates, for example, right? I'll put a 1 in these. 475. I delete the ones. 455. So it does it with candidates and such, but not with the default renderer? That's annoying. I guess because originally this was designed for givens. So, because the thing with the candidates is we specifically have a concept of absence and presence, while with values, in theory, I guess it accepts a blank value. So what I really want to do here is vals. So vals is a set of... Oh, it's all the properties. Okay, so we don't actually want vals here. We want just val. We'll restart. Oh, geez. Might as well reload at this point. Yeah, kill it. Fire, apparently. And then bring it back. Okay. Refresh. Okay. If I do these. and delete. Okay, if I do these and then delete, clear child element. Clear child element. Is that the function we want to use for this? Clear child element takes a selector. Clear child element. The prop toggle. Last name. Get child element. Get child element. So we'll basically want to do something like let's we'll create the selector here. Right. Then we'll do this, get child element here. And we'll do if val equals empty. Then we'll do clear child element selector. Right. So we now should have 368. Right. We'll put a nines in these. Now we have 531. Now we delete them. We're down to 368. So that's like a small micro optimization here, which probably right now is probably not the right time I should be doing this. So let's see about cleaning this up. Is there anything I want to keep here? It was adding the font styles, which I'm okay with. It was making the style generation asynchronous, which is going to be useful. And the fact that that's just working is good too. But it has the code in here where it's basically inlining the font data, which in the moment I'd rather avoid because I don't know what the ramifications of that will be. Although on the client side it's not as big of a deal, obviously, but it might be having CORS issues, and it probably depends on me having these locally. Yeah, because in fact I probably won't be able to get the base 64 data when I'm loading it from Google server, so that's going to be a major issue. So let's see where this happens. So basically what I did is I split this into two parts where I'm basically filtering out the font rules and then replacing them. So this part is basically what updates the font rules to inline the font strings. So we could keep it here for later and just have a comment here, inline font data. Font URL to base 64. I guess that function can go into this commented code as well. Like that. So instead of returning it right away... Oh, and this, I guess, can also go in here. Like that. So that now this is just made async. We've added font face as one of the styles we're including. We've split the style rules into two blocks, which is fine. And otherwise we haven't actually modified it here. So the style rules are this, cleaned up, and then their output. And then this doesn't actually do anything. All right. How am I gonna do this? Let us add this first. So this should be a null campaign, right? 0 hours, yes. Add COW promo for testing. Test promo. So that's fine. I think I can do this without a change, so I'll just do that. And then this is just what do we call this? Remove empty cell value elements. Boom. Right. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with an update for these. All right. So let's have a look at the caterpillar feature. So the caterpillar feature, and let's reset that once again. And it's a bit annoying that the reset basically freezes up on a large puzzle. I probably need to go to a slightly smaller puzzle for testing here. Also, why do we have negative values on rects? It would be good to see which ones have these negative values. Framework app.source puzzle. We'll probably want to do copy JSON son.stringify. If I do this and put it here, and then do this, and then my whole computer is frozen. Let's hope that doesn't mess with the stream. Holy moly. Okay, it worked. So we have a pretty printed version of this. Can we get syntax highlighting? Yes. All right, so this is the JSON data. 697 kilobytes once it's pretty printed. Let's do it this way. Right. I hate that I can't collapse everything. And we want to kind of look into this data because he suggested this metadata. Now, it technically is metadata, but I'm wondering if this wouldn't be better attached to existing cage information or regions. So have it as separate metadata within a region, for example. Now, we don't actually have regions here, which is kind of annoying. If I take this data and I'll go puzzle tools dot e dot split puzzle loader dot get dot strip puzzle format. Yeah, you know what? Let's put that in here. Do that. We'll do that. We'll do something like this. Like that. All right. Puzzle format. And then we'll do puzzle loader dot decompress puzzle ID. Is that all we need? Is that going to give us the raw JSON? I think so. Except this might not be JSON. This might be zipped. All right. I gotta remember. Let's have a look at puzzle loader. Decompress. Safe JSON unzip. Yeah, okay. We need to do that as well. So we're gonna put that in there. All right, clear that. Boom. That's that. So we'll probably want to do JSON.stringify. That's the final version, and then we should be able to copy that. Nope. Come on, give me a new one. Stick it in there. We'll probably need to pretty print it now, which probably is going to mess with my computer for a bit. The new grids proposal, which will also properly check regions and hide grid lines. Yeah, but I don't want to make multiple things depending on each other, because then each one depends on the other ones being good, and then I don't think they'll ever get done. So making them independent is probably beneficial to actually get something done one way or another. Right, I just wanted to check. So the raw data is still like this. I don't know. This is a very sort of arbitrary thing. That's a lot of additional information as well. And I don't think I don't think I want this under metadata. I mean, it is obviously metadata. Now, what bugs me is that we don't even have regions here. So, to me, this would be the sort of thing that should get added to... Well, I guess not, because regions aren't necessarily... Yeah, regions are basically boxes. They're not really puzzles. Yeah. I don't know what the grids proposals look like, but I'm guessing the grids proposal is a one level above regions, right? Although, you know, what is part of a grid and what is not part of a grid? What's inside of a grid, what isn't? I mean, the nice thing about this is it's completely independent. But it's so verbose. Like, this is... Like, if we look at that, if we go framework.app.source puzzle.metadata.cater what's it called? Cater grids JSON.stringify.length. Yeah, so that's 61 kilobytes of data, of which probably width, height, top left and stuff is most, like, the keys are the most stuff. Well, not necessarily. I mean, the rules text just might be longish. And maybe it's the sort of thing where we shouldn't optimize it at this level, where we should just leave this up to the gzip algorithm to eliminate. If I go in here, there's 160, right? So if I go multiply it by source author rules source. Actually, what I can do is multiply times object dot ease. Boom. 0. JSON.stringify.length. So about 9 kilobytes of just key string data. I mean, the key Caterpillar grids doesn't make sense to me because unless I'm not aware what the definition of Caterpillar all via URL. What do you mean? Caterpillar grids I don't like because that's a specific subgenre of whatever. And I'm sure this will be valid for other puzzles as well that aren't Caterpillar puzzles. So definitely we gotta get Caterpillar out of there. I'm trying to think. Because any sort of multi-authorship puzzle might actually have that. Just trying to think what makes sense here so it doesn't interfere with future work we've planned for grids, for additional grid data in general that isn't just authorship data, right? I mean, it's literally just grid metadata, right? Or sub-puzzles. Yeah, but like, I don't know if it's... Is this a grid? What's a grid, right? I think sub-puzzles should be explicit. Like, these are puzzles within a puzzle, right? Matryoshka? What's a good word for sub-puzzle? Yeah, sub is maybe not the right word. Nested. Nested puzzles. Yeah, nested maybe? But then the question is, do we want to support multiple nest levels? Obviously not. Alright, well, let's have a quick look at the feature file itself. Adds Caterpillar grids metadata to the bottom of the rules panel. So how does that actually look? Well, I guess we'll just include it and see what happens. Where's this file? So if I save this under git if I save this here and then just include it, Like that. And then we refresh this. And now, how did he integrate that? Up on puzzle unloaded. The feature for puzzles that contain caterpillar grids metadata. Ooh. So I'm gonna have to rewrite all of this, I think. Class of DOM element with grids. Bottom of the rules? What? He also removed like a lot of boilerplate stuff. So what exactly is he doing? Sub rules class, caterpillar rules, update selected, update rules, attach element. Let's put these in there to see when he's attaching things. Like in what order is he doing things? Used for displaying extra rules when selecting a cell, not just for sub-puzzles. Yeah. Gotta be a bit careful because that could also be abused. And then suddenly puzzles depend on something that it wasn't designed for and we're back in a mess, you know? Did selected grids. Like, what else is it doing besides just updating the rules? So, And I'm wondering if some of the slowdowns I'm experiencing here are part of this. Because that could be a problem, right? So let's see what we get. Ignore for your attach element, update rules, update selected grids. So if I click on a thing. In fact, it's frozen right now. See what I mean? If it's freezing, that's not good. Boom. It crashed the browser tab. Yeah, and it's redoing the whole thing. Okay, updated. Updated selected grids. Alright, so first of all, update rules. Where does it get called? Where does that get called from? Handle func. The hell is a handle func? So, okay, so we've attached load selected grids from storage. Selected grids version 0. What? You see, like, none of these things mean anything. So I don't really like that. Handle act. Handle update. Like, we don't want to update on every act because some things cause multiple acts, right? So, for example, if I, like, what is causing this slowdown at the moment? I have no insight, and that's bothering me. Like, what is it doing right now? Like, it's supposed to open up dialogue, nothing else. Oh, there's the dialogue. What the hell? What the heck was that? Right, something is messing this dialogue up. Why does the dialogue disappear here? What? What? Okay. What's happening with these? Why are they up there? The frick? I feel compelled to ensure that this is not a general problem. Yeah, it is not. But is it related to the large puzzle stuff, or is it related to this particular puzzle? Well, the settings on this puzzle are exactly the same. Let's get another large puzzle, but not humongous. If I open settings here, yeah, it doesn't disappear. So what the heck is causing the dialogue to disappear here? And it's pushing these elements like off screen. Why? If I go here, like I'll pop this open, let's say, right? It's like it has a minimum size and then it just gets moved. It gets moved or something. But it's only the contents. It's not the dialogue itself. Margin left, margin right. And I don't think it's related to the other stuff I've been working on, right? Okay, where is this even? Alright, if I do something like outline 2000 px solid magenta. Boom. Where the hell? Okay, where is this position? 3.2 top. It doesn't give me top. Left. Position. Relative. Okay, wait a second. Margin right, margin left. Margin right, minus 162. Margin left. Why do we have negative margin right? And how is this different from here? Wait, where do these negative margins come from? The frick? What is creating a negative margin here? Is that the experimental layout stuff I've been working on? Huh. What is doing this? Well, we can check if it's happening from here, but I don't think this should have that kind of power. But if we disable it, do we get our dialogue back? No. So it's not this. What could it even be? Margin right. I mean, wait. Okay, let's make sure it's not like a an extension or something weird, right? So if I do this, what is it? An extent? Oh wait, now it's working. Huh? Wait a second. Boom. Huh? I didn't change anything. Is it because I was... What the frick? Yeah, now that margin left... No, it's still here. It's just not in the thousands. And it's a much smaller value. What the heck? Was I zoomed? No? I have no idea. And this bugs me because... is this something that's just going to come back? What the frick? Anyway, what I wanted to do was enable the pen tool and see how it acts to multiple actions from a single event. So for example, if I say this. Okay, so it executes this only once. Ciao guys, see you soon. How did we get here though? So it executes handle update. Which is under handlers, I guess. Wait, he indented. He has different levels of indentation here. What? API. Handlers. Okay. Handle update throttle. Oh, he did a throttle function. Yeah, no, we don't want to do it like that. We want to filter by. Ooh, no. Okay, let's not do it. Ugh, Jesus Christ. All right. I mean, yeah, we want to throttle it, but ideally you don't run it when you don't need it. Yeah, you see, that's already a problem. Okay, so what you want to do here is the only time this can change is when the selection changes, right? And oops, and we've done this before, so we just no. We'll just do it again. Same way that we've done in the past, right? Right, so we want an update, action. Right, and then we'll do something like that. Right, something like that. So it should be a bunch of stuff. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, and then we'll do action and action.type equals select. Or, yeah, this kind of thing. So we have select, deselect, that includes action.type, basically. False, true, false. Yeah, exactly. So like we don't want it on the group ends and the groups and whatnots. Right. If action, if not action and that, return. If, and I'm starting to think this is wrong, because if action is not a thing, all right, well, so that should already eliminate a lot of the actions. Yeah. All right, we still get a whole bunch of these though. Update, select, deselect, select it. And we'll probably don't want to do it while we're in replay mode. So puzzle await replay done. If puzzle replaying, puzzle off handle act. You want to trigger while replays playing. Handle act. Okay. We should be able to just carry this over. log, wait for replay end, console.log, play finished. And not handle update, handle act. Update, nope. Gonna be called handle act. This doesn't make sense in this circumstance, obviously. We'll probably do this. Something like that. Okay. And act is not defined. This dot. Boom. Alright. Setting val is not defined. If setting val. Don't know if that's actually relevant. Yeah. So select, deselect, select, deselect. Okay. And we still want to throttle the thing then. Okay. So a handle act. Then we can do a handle update here. Oop. Alright, so this specifically will await the end of a replay. Right. And then we can do this handle update, handle act. Alright. And then we can do something like handle update throttled equals this dot right. And then we kind of do this. And then we'll just do this. Handle update throttled. Like that. Unexpected. Boom. Okay. And then this gets moved into here. Update cursor controls puzzle rules. If change this dot update rules. So we obviously don't want to pass the query selector in. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so update rules. Dialog. Update rules. Update rules. Inner element. Yeah, there's no point passing it in here. And there's no point doing that here. So we kind of don't want to do that here either, right? All right, so we'll do const RUL. And this then is also no longer needed, unless this is called elsewhere. If this rules handle dialog, it rules container. Yeah, then we basically take that down here, and if true, then here we'll do framework.app.resize size. Boom. Right, and we don't do any of that. Now, what the hell is all of this? Okay. This dot selected grids dot map grid get rules resize. Okay. App framework. Let's say some dereferencing here. We can HTML functions subcontainer is that update selected grids. So instead of this, we can do update rules here, like that. Handle update. Yeah, now instead of handle update, we'll actually do handle update rules throttled, right? So handle update rules throttled. Boom. And update rules, right? And then here, we'll actually execute this, and we no longer execute that at all. Complete unnecessary function. Okay. We get rid of that. Okay. Get rid of that. And any action to react to selected cells change. The function might be called many times in a row, especially on a page load, so throttle it. Yeah. Just don't call it many times in a row, and don't call it during whatever. Handle opening a dialog to detect opening the rules dialog. Okay. Element. Handlers. Handle dialog. Selected grids storage. What is that for, though? What is selected grid storage for? There don't seem to be any documentation for that. And it's going to root metadata to the bottom of the rules panel. The feature gets automatically activated when the loaded puzzle contains Caterpillar grids metadata. Check which grids were previously selected. Load select. But why? What's the point of that? What is this for? Because the selection is already in the replay data. Why? So if I get rid of all this grid storage stuff and then just comment these out. Update rules in the rules dialog. Okay. So if I do that, and I'll do this. Update selected grids. So that's the next weird thing. Why is there multiple grids to be updated? Nothing is selected. Keep previous selection. What is that for? Update selected by the current selected grid. I have no idea what that is for. So update rules here. If it doesn't, add an element for additional rules if it doesn't exist yet. Query selector. Are you, yeah, pen stuff? No, query selector. Sub rules class. Sub rules class. Caterpillar rules. Again, we gotta debrand it from Caterpillar because it's not just valid for Caterpillar puzzles. Class is rules class. Inner element. Query selector sub. If not, update selected grid by the current selected cells. Okay, let's just homogenize this a little. Okay, update it with current selected cells. Not sure what that's for. Why do we have versions for grids? I don't understand that at all. Update selected grids. Let's comment this whole thing out and just step through it and let it do its thing, right? So here it's trying to do a thing, right? So let's say we're clicking here. It says update selected grids. Get grids that have at least one selected cells. Oh, is it for multiple selection? Huh, wait a second, okay. So this gets us something called new grids. Because we can select multiple grids, right? I didn't think of that. So if I select, so that gets more and more and more of these, okay. Yeah, why is it called new grids? These are just selected overlapping areas, right? Right. Let's unwind these. Right. So this gets us what exactly? So we have a filter here. Get grids. What's get grids? Yeah, this does make sense. Is this used anywhere else? Enable this to get grids thing. Not really. Stored grids. Stored grid strength. Why? What is the stored grids thing for? Why are we storing something? What are we storing? We cannot just add more client-side storage. Selected grids map. Top left, top left. Why would you do this? Oh, to identify. But why? What? If stored grid string. If stored grid string, do this. If not stored grid string, it doesn't do anything. Get grids. Selected cells. Okay, so this doesn't actually use the stored grid thing at all yet. I kind of got myself shifted here. dx call dy dx what? I think this is completely unnecessary here. This is just an AABB check. So if we're checking if col minus left is greater than 0, we're just adding left to both, and we get this, right? And if we're checking if col minus left is smaller than width, we're just checking if it's smaller than left plus width. Right. We're adding top on both sides. Okay. So we can just do a little const function here. Man, I don't like this verbose verbiage. Cell in grid. Cell in area. And we'll just pass this in. Right, and it returns this. Boom. Like that. So now we can just say cell in area with all this. Boom. Filter. So we're now filtering all the areas that have one or more cells within them. This can get very expensive if we have many cells. If you've selected, like if I do a control A, I wonder if this is why the control A is slow. Because if you're selecting 13,000 cells, and then you're checking each of the 13,000 cells against each of the, 60 grids or whatever, 160 grids, that's like 1.5 million checks. I mean, they're fast checks though. I mean, we could improve it with an AAB. Like we could check. We can do a bounding box for the selection and first check if the selection overlaps. So there's definitely something we can optimize here if this is going to be a problem. So for now, I guess, yeah. So const filter cells, filter grids by cells, filter grid by cells, and we'll pass in cells, and then it'll create this kind of function, right? That takes a grid and then matches it against the cells, basically. And then now this just becomes that, I think. 119. 119. Ooh. Did I get something wrong here? Let's compartmentalize these so I don't waste brain power thinking about it if this is correct. Cells, arrow that, arrow that. Oh, I'm missing one here. All right. So if I do this, new grids, okay. They're not new grids, they're just selected grids, right? Selected grids. Get grids. Isn't there a get metadata? No, okay. I mean, the easiest would be just to do framework.app. Is dot question mark app dot question mark current puzzle. Does that work all the way back to what I want to support? So I've not used this anywhere else in the code base. Can I get like Node.js 14, Android 80? Ugh, some of these might be borderline. But what about where it isn't supported? That's not a useful list. It doesn't give you when it's not supported. I don't know what the benefit is over this syntax, to be honest. Alright, well. If nothing is selected, keep previous selection. Are we sure we want that? Ah, are these the wrong way around? Okay, so if I select these, and then I do this, it does that. If nothing is selected, if new grids, if selected grids, length, this does select. Okay, so what he means by new, it means next, what I call next. Because to me, new means something that gets newly created. If too many grids are selected, don't select anything. Could happen, Control A or double click. If grids, new grids dot length equals 0. No reason to create a new empty array here. So selected grids is a thing. Okay, so let's bring the functionality back for a sec here. Selected grids version. What is this? Selected grid version. Okay, so undefined next grids. Next grids dot length. If next grids dot length is this dot selected grids. Selected grids. Is it not initialized? It's not initialized. Why is it not initialized? Okay. If I do this, saved grid to storage, bollocks. I still don't understand what that is for. It's not a function. 108. Save selected grids to storage. No, do not save selected grids to storage. So, selected grids version is not a number. I don't know what these are for. Update the rules if rules HTML if it changed. What? Why do we need versioning here? We cannot we cannot have new puzzle data without actually refreshing everything. Like, I don't know exactly what he thinks he's caching here. I have a feeling he got himself confused a little bit here. And it's not initialized, so ++ is never gonna do anything here. Subcontainer, selected grids version. Also, selected grids version is not a property of an element. What? Update selected grids. Update selected grids by the current selected cells. I don't know why this is a separate call here, to be honest. Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, this should just be in here. So what we really want is something like p dot get selected grids selected cells, something like that, right? And then we basically kind of do this. Then we kind of do all of this, except maybe not that. So grids that have at least one selected cell. Sure. If nothing is selected, keep previous selection. I don't think we'll do that here. We'll just return. So this is just a helper function, and here we'll just return next grids, right? Boom. Whoops. Boom. Right. Do we use puzzle for anything else here? Yes. And then here we can just say let next grids equals this dot selected grids, selected cells. Now, I mean, there's not much we can cache here because we don't know how the selection has changed. I guess we'll have to rely on the throttling to not make this be a pain in the butt. Don't know where selected grids came from here. Next grids. So this doesn't make sense now. Update rules HTML if it changed. This that selected grids version. How does that? How do we determine if something has changed? I think we just want IDs of grids here. Grid index, selected grids index. Next sum, grid index, grid this dot selected grids index. Next grids dot sum. Grid is not equal. So we just want to know if our grids lists are different. I mean, we have grid IDs, right? I mean, our position in the area of grids, that's our grid ID. I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if updating the rules isn't faster than trying to determine if we should update the rules, right? All right, back to basics. Let's focus on what we're actually trying to do here. So selected grids version is not equals this dot select. Again, this version thing doesn't mean anything to me. We either change or we don't change. This should be a boolean, right? Like increasing the counter here doesn't really... Having a grids version counter here doesn't do anything for us. I don't know why this is a number. So we either update or we don't update. It's just a Boolean. So we just now have to determine if we're gonna update, right? If this list is different from the list of currently selected grids, right? Right. So we have selected grids as an empty array, right? So we'll do something like if this dot selected grids dot. We basically want to find an element where the index is different, right? And I'm guessing this thing does that. Next grids.sum grid index. Grid is not equal to selected grids index. Next grids.sum. Next grids.sum. If the list of the next grids has any grids in it that are different than the same grid on the other end. Okay. That's a bit awkward, but I guess it'll do the trick, right? So, and let's label this. So grids grids changed is next grids of length is different. This dot selected grid. So right. So we actually also want to do this. Right. And this we don't need to do until we've decided that we're actually going to do a thing, right? We'll go down here. So we'll then do selected grids.length or next grids blah 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 selected grids index. Right. Now we should be able to say grids changed is a true or false thing. Right? And we can probably hide this for now. Selected grids is not defined. Selected cells. Selected grids. Okay. Invalid, unexpected. Oh my god, where? 148. 14. Huh? Selected grids.length. Okay. Selected grids. Did I mistype anything else? Get selected grids. Selected cells. Another unexpected token. Put opening brace at 149. Well, wasn't at 149, that's for sure. All right, so if I do this, grids changed false. Okay, so we'll do if grids changed yada yada. We'll do something, and then we'll do this dot selected or selected grids dot splice. Change the constant error by removing and replacing existing elements. Yeah. So we'll splice from 0. Deleted count if remove from start. If delete or this value is greater than or equal to the number after that all the elements from start to the end of the array will be deleted. However, you wish to pass and okay, so we can omit that. And then we'll just do next grids. Right? And then we can output this. Selected grids should now be updated. Oop. So if I select here, we have next grids. I think we can put that selected grids here. Doesn't make any sense. Grids changed false. Grids changed too. Selected grids is an empty array. Next grids has one element. So wait, did I get this wrong? Splice 0. Start. Delete count omitted. If delete count is omitted, or if its value is greater than or equal to the number of elements after the position, then start, then all the elements from start to the end of the array will be deleted. If you wish to pass any item and parameter, you should pass infinity as delete count to delete all elements after start. So an explicit undefined gets converted to 0. Delete count is 0 or negative, no elements are removed. In this case, you should specify at least one element. See below. Okay. And then the items get put in there. It should change. Selected grids dot splice. Am I getting this wrong? Array splice. Right. Infinity. Boom. So we should be able to pass in infinity here. Maybe one of these elements, like, evaluates to 0 or something? Okay. That seems to work. Right. So now the grids are changed, and now we can update our subcontainer element. And then eventually run app.resize, right? Let's not call it subcontainer, which is so generic, it's completely useless. So grid rules EL. Right. And then this is just selected grids dot map text to HTML get rules puzzle rule blah blah blah. And we'll have a little function there. Const p dot grid to HTML. Right. Puzzle get rule puzzle get rules true grid. What? Puzzle.get rules. This.current puzzle. Ew. It's using. What's it using here? Okay, but then it's doing a bunch of other things here. P. Yeah, I don't like this. E bold slash P. We have a paragraph here. All right, let's sanitize this here. And this obviously shouldn't be just a bold flag, but we'll deal with that in a second. Okay. So that gets us to here. Then we'll get that. Slash E. Okay. If I do this, right? Grid to rules HTML. Okay. And we can probably make that a helper function or whatever. But we need to do something. We need We need to get puzzle in here. Next to HTML is a helper function from utilities. Okay, that's fine. So what we really want to do here is we want to join these with HRs. We want to run this through this, right? And we probably don't want this as a member function here. And explicitly here from grid, we're not going to use a lot, right? Well, but I guess that makes sense. Okay. All right, so we can do this. Okay. Now, if we do this, right? Unexpected token return at 7:04. You know what? I'm gonna make this a one-liner. Otherwise, it's just gonna make me nervous. Boom. Hey. All right. Okay. So we're here at the moment. We have selected grids 2. Boom, and it's crashed. Wow, crashed pretty hard. Out of memory crash. For what? What? What the heck? Okay. So we have selected grids. Now we should be able to select grids. .map. Should be able to do this. Right? That should be not a problem. Just each grid becomes a string. Right. Okay. And then we should be able to join them with this. Like that. Right. Okay, let's see. Let grid rules HTML equals this. Okay. And I don't see, whoops, GRUD? No, grid rules HTML. I don't see why we should be able to just assign that. Boom. 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 Now, it does up to 2. So if I select a bunch, it used to do up to 2. Now it's doing more. Huh. So, I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, though. I feel like if we're limiting it to 2, then almost just leaving it at 1 is going to be enough. Or is this maybe for the case where, like, in the overlap? It's kind of weird. If nothing is selected, keep previous selection. Okay. So, if nothing is selected, we don't actually want to do anything. So, if next grids dot length equals 0, we'll just don't do anything. There's no reason to return the same value and then do all the checks and the versioning and then eventually decide to not do anything, right? No point to do any of that. All right. Then we'll check if it's larger than 2. Don't select anything. If too many... Why not leave it at max length 2? Like... We could literally say, hey, if we're over 2, just... Whoop. Like, there's no point doing all of this work and then just throwing it all away, right? So how about we do this? Let next grids equals array. And then therefore, const grid of da-da-da. Boom. Right? And then we can say filter by grid cells. If filter by grid cells grid right? And we can probably just do that now. And no, it's fine. If yada yada, then we'll do next grids dot push grid, right? And then if next grids dot length is greater or equal to 2, break. Boom. No point doing all the other stuff then. And now it'll never return more than two cells. I mean, 2 grids. And we can always still show those too. Now the only thing is we can never get rid of that subgrid description because, yeah, we've set it up that way, which is fine. Okay, cool. Okay, so we don't need any of that now. That makes this a bit simpler. This doesn't make any sense. Right, so we've selected cells, selected grids. Does this even make sense to go here? Cell in area. Cells dot sum cell in area. Because really all we want is this wrapped up as sort of a helper function, right? So filter grid by cells. Cells grid. Like if I move these up to the helper functions, just do that. Right? And then we'll do this. And putting this in a separate function almost doesn't make any sense. We're not saving anything here. We can just do that. Let's leave that as a thing for now. Right. And then this, we don't need anymore. Still don't know why caching it is relevant, because if you're expecting it to be fast enough to do it on every selection click, then doing it once on startup seems perfectly reasonable. All right. I don't like the styling stuff. We'll get to that. But I guess this replicates the behavior for now. I still don't fully understand what the storage stuff is for. Why? Why are we caching these in? It seems so complex. For what's the benefit? I really hope Chameleon will be able to let me know. Also, this is now, well, it's still used in one other place, isn't it? Get grids that have at least one selected cell. Ah, yeah, okay. No, this is the thing that we got rid of, right? So this whole thing now is no longer used. This, we still need the app resize. I hope that wasn't the thing that was bonking out before. Let us get rid of some of this logging spam. So if I do this, right? Let's change true. Right, doesn't change very often. I mean, it's always biased towards the earlier grids. The only way to bias it towards the earliest selected cells would be the other way around. If I go through all the selected cells and check each cell if it interferes with any grid. Is that more performant? It would be more performant if there are fewer selected cells, isn't it? Because, you know, if we have 160 grids and we have 2 selected cells, we could check 2 items, but we'd still have to check each item against all the cells, right? I mean, all the grids. Yeah, so it doesn't really help. Not unless we do basically a binary space partition tree, BSP tree, which I'm not going to implement for that. Okay. Definitely don't need that anymore. Right. We don't need any of that. Don't know why that's there in the first place. We have update rules. Now, is update rules throttled? We want to actually do update rules throttled. Right. Now, update rules unthrottled. Yeah, nobody should call update rules. Yeah. Now, handle dialog. What's that for? Oh, it was using the same code to update that dialog. Okay. Do we want to do that? Not sure if we want to do that. Alright, so if I do this, right? And I'll do this. Handle dialog. So okay, so that's why he was passing in a different selector. I think we can do that smartly over here. If I select something that's this or that, but only one of those, what do I get here? What do I get? I get this. And what do I get in this case? I get that. So this should always work, right? It feels a little, you know, but it should always work. So if I now open this, I select, and then I open that, and we're doing a bunch of things here. Let's check something like the solve counter, right? We do the same thing here. So handle dialog. Handle dialog show. Dialog no errors. Dialog solved. Show dialog. Handle dialog show. As rules text. We're kinda doing that. If I say handle dialog show, I think we'll want to name it that as well, just for consistency. Keep things the same. Dialog. Puzzle off handle act. This handle act. And now here we have a has rule text, and then we can just say if has rule text this dot update rules, and no other thing gets passed in. Right. Right. If I select this And now I do this. It does that. So handle dialog show. Then update rules pops up here. We'll do this. Right, so I do this, open that. Update rules. Grids changed false. Oh, because grids changed wouldn't be true here. If we do this first, basically we still want to do this. Yeah. So we kind of want to do this here. We'll do this, right? And then we'll do this. And here we'll do if grid rules element isn't a thing, then we have to create that. And grids change is just going to be forced to be true. Right. Do we still want to exit when this is 0? Yes. Okay. If blah 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 blah. This, if grids change is false. No, this will still set the grids change to true. Because, you know, we could go the other way around as well. So if I select now, and then click this. What is undefined here? RUEL. We have update rules. Oh, that's supposed to be a comma. Query selector, puzzle rules, dialog.rules text. I think we might be a little early here. If I do this, right, and I open this dialog. No. We have this. But what about this? RU query selector C rules class, subrules class. Oh, I hate the syntax like that. Okay, so select that, click that. Oh. Wait, what? Does this not have a preference for the dialog handler? What? Okay. Oh, there's no preference here. Query selector order. Using is the result by the method ordered. Head tag appears before the body tag. First element of the node list also a head element, even if the selector shows body before head. Ooh. All of the matching elements nodes within the subtree in document order. If there's no such nodes, the method must return empty node list. Oh no, they come in document order. Uh-huh. So what I really want then is the reverse. So I want to do an all reverse 0. Something like that. I don't think reverse is yeah. Oh man. I'm trying to cut corners here, and it's obviously so what we can probably just do is something like this. Oop, did I? Nope, nope. We'll do this. Or this. Right. Is that gonna work? Is that gonna work? Okay, that seems to work. Now if I open this, okay. Okay. So, I think that works now. I don't like the formatting. We'll get to that. Okay, so that now we have an element here that's either this or it's that. Okay. Not sure how I like this being included like that, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, grid rules element. Do we... If grid rules element... Ah, we have that already sorted here. We don't need that. That's fine now. That's fine. That's just this now. Alright. Cool. Grids changed is true. Sure. Okay. I open that. Okay, if I pause, same thing. Pause, different text. Okay. Alright. Okay. Now, I still don't understand what any of this safe selected grid storage was meant to accomplish. And I don't want to casually write a lot of data into local storage for one puzzle and then not clean up after myself. Get grids. So that's a check on if we should get in there. This, no. 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 You misunderstand what init should be doing, I think, here. Because this won't work when the puzzle isn't loaded, and when a different puzzle gets loaded, it won't do the right thing. So, what we really want to do is... puzzle loaded. Puzzle loaded is... Wait for puzzle loaded. Wait for puzzle loaded. Progress loaded. Do we wait until after progress loaded? Probably not. Alright, so we can do puzzle dot on loaded. This dot handle puzzle loaded. Right. And then we're gonna do something like doom equals function. Right. Grid. Handle puzzle loaded. So if we're loading a different puzzle, no, we'll do different things. Now, this doesn't actually let you disable this functionality. I don't know how I like that. This is definitely an experimental feature, and I think initially this might be disabled. Because we might have to do a lot of securing of things here. Well, let's implement sort of. Uh-oh, I end-tasked something. I don't know what I just end-tasked. Maybe a browser window I wasn't using. Maybe something I was using. Who knows? Who knows? Enabled true. Okay. And then we kind of just do that. All right. We're not going to call it caterpillar grids, but I'll probably have some sort of... Yeah, also, we're not going to call any of this caterpillars, so we're going to have to change all that. Shown trigger while replay playing. Yeah, that's fine. Handle opening a dialog to tech opening rules dialog. Yeah, that's fine. Add selected at the bottom of container element down element. Yeah. Let's not put comments outside of their functions. Doesn't make any sense. The comments will get lost when the functions get moved. Okay. Update rules, and this is gonna go into up here. The actual worker stuff things. All right. Now attach and detach. Are these working correctly? Can they work correctly? So return false, remove alternatives require features created. Why do we do a 4 here and then... I don't know. But there should only ever be 1? I don't know. All right. Okay. So I think that's getting towards something that's relatively streamlined. Okay. The root has to stop the rules, handler shown, yeah. All right. Can we simplify this further? So we're still have get grids here. We also have sub rule class. We'll probably just yeah. So grid rules class. Grid rules class. Find sub rule. Right. Right. Is there something else where we can simplify this? Why is this being used in 3 different places? Rules element. Fair enough. Here's class. Yeah, we also want to change this to span equals title span. Are we happy with having that in 1 line here? Wait, why is it not working? Yeah, untitled by. and that shouldn't be a thing. A div. Well. Yeah, that shouldn't be like that. Something like that, right? Okay. So then what we want is put back all the things he's removed for some reason. Let's remove that as well. We're gonna put that back in. This is not gonna be called Caterpillar. This is gonna be called areas, grids. I don't like the word grid because the whole thing is a grid. What's a grid? Everything is a grid. Areas. Let's call it grid rules for now. All right. Okay. So now here we should be able to do something like dot grid rules dot whatever title and author margin bottom 1 rem, right? And it was bold for the whole thing, wasn't it? Can I look at the original one again? Did I keep a copy of the original one? Yes. So the original one was bold right across. Okay. We don't even need to do subclasses. We're font, weight, heavy, I guess. Or is it strong? Strong. Oh my god. What is bold? Font weight, bold. The margin isn't happening either. Did he remove the code that actually applies the styles as well? Did he change the API code? Oh, I hope not. I hope not. Alright, let's get a more recent one. Screenshot, I think it's relatively recent. Create with app add features, init, add feature, remove feature. Okay. So the feature style should be getting added here. Title grid rules. So we have dot grid rules dot title and author. What am I doing wrong here? Is there something wrong? Grid rules dot title dot grid rules dot title and author, and it should be the last style sheet and head. So it should be this one. No, not the last one. It should be whichever one. Damn it. Grid rules. Here we go. Dot grid rules. Dot title and author. Is it because... What's going on here? Title and author. Margin bottom right. Font weight bold. What's that? Huh? What's going on? Is it getting overridden by something else? Puzzle rules. Title and author. Did I misspell this terribly? Title and author. Grid rules. Grid rules class. I mean, there's nothing else there. Ah! What am I missing here? Oh, that works. What's wrong with this part? Margin bottom 1 REM. Title and author. Background red. Nothing. Title and author. Class. Dot syntax. What am I getting wrong? I mean, okay, the style sheet is in there. What about just title? What are you messing with me for? Class? There's no equal sign. Oh my god. Seriously. Yeah. Alright. Killer X by blah blah blah. Now, how does that compare to the original? It's just a paragraph tag and all of that in a singular bold thingamajig. So if we are looking at, if we're ignoring the spans, which we are, we probably want to do something like 0.50. Or maybe 1 rem 0.5 rem, no, something like that. What does the paragraph tag bring to the table? All things equal by 6. What if we do the bold only for dot title and and dot author, not for the by, and then we'll just say font size 120% or 110%, something like that, just a little bit bigger. Name the Sudoku by more woggly. There's unknown. Okay. Alright, at least we don't have the weird indentation anymore. Now, the one thing we don't have right now is the ability to disable it. And a way of changing this. I hate having this hard-coded in here. Metadata. Is it... Can we just globally make this grids? And then grids can individually have more things attached to them. I think... I guess that makes sense. So if I do this, right? And then I can say metadata dot grids or metadata dot... Actually, does knowledge correlations work like this? So can I do 0, 1? Can I do -1, 1? Can I do null that? Null undefined, defined. No. Okay. If I do this now, open that. I'm not sure I like the HR. In fact, I'll probably get rid of the HR. Now we have grid rules here as a plural. But what we really want is... we'll probably just want to join it like that. And then make these self-enclosed. If class equal grid rule... Grid rules. Maybe we'll do grid rules section. What if I do it that way? And then this can be /diff. And we'll probably wanna do something like this. Maybe? Like, if I do this, they're gonna just confuse the hell out of me. Like, if I do it this way, I mean, it'll add some white space, but maybe that won't make much of a difference. And now, the HTML was gonna have these grid rules blocks with a grid rules section. Let's see if we grid rules hard-coded anything else. Grid rules class. And now I can say each individual block of grid rules can have its own wrapping, spacing, whatever, right? So we can say something like that. And we'll just give it a margin. Like that. And then this will just... won't even have to do that. It'll be just 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.5 or something like that. Boom. Yeah, and I don't think we need a horizontal rule, but now we could add it in styling instead of in the, what's the word? Instead of in markup. That's the word. Let me let Chameleon know that I'm gonna call it something else. And specifically, I'm gonna call it grids. We'll do something like that. And I think this is a good test. So if I now go to that's sorted. If I do this, and then go in here, and I'll add an item. I haven't added a new item in a while. Is Chameleon in here already? Ah, because he's done, you know, contributed is a very silly word for what he's done for the fog system, since he's basically built it. Ah, but I guess I wrote all the code for it, so here we go. I guess that's kind of what this stuff is for. It's direct code contributions. So, actually, we're gonna do added feature grid rules. Yeah, I forgot that we actually want to rename that as well. So, do I need to rename it from here or from in here? Rename grid rules. What time is it? It feels late. It's almost 9. Alright, so if I rename it to grid rules and then go into here, do that and that, be able to get rid of all of this stuff now. And this stuff, and probably this stuff. And I'll probably want to not have the double check in there. So we'll probably just want to do this. Like that. And the only way to test it is if I were to actually modify the thing. If I go framework dot. Ah, is this looking at source or current puzzle? Current puzzle. Oops. Oops. Right. Framework dot app dot current puzzle dot metadata dot grids equals dot caterpillar grids. Boom. And then if I do framework dot, and right now it's not working, right? Yeah. Dot features dot grid rules dot init handle dot handle init. No. Dot handle puzzle loaded. And there it is. Cool. Hey guys. Just winding down. That works now too. Didn't work for a second there. It won't load. Wait a second. It won't load. Blah, 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 blah. Update rules. It won't load if currently there's nothing selected. Ah, because it exits here. Annoying. The only way to fix that is if I bring this check up. And I kind of want to do that. So grids changed here. We need that. So we need to kind of do that. We can't skip that. We could say, if this is the case, because that forces the grid to be re-rendered. And it forces this to get updated. But it, yeah, this forces it to get updated to next grids. Yeah, basically what I would have to do is I would have to force a re-render without a change. I mean, what I could do is instead of returning here, I could let it run into this check, which is a little bit more wasteful. But if next grids.length is 0 anyways, this check will be really fast, right? Because this will be false, but if it hits this then, it might turn to true. So I think if it's to 0, we want to keep it the same. If next grid equals 0, then we basically want to do this for next grids. So we want to do next grids gets replaced by selected grids. And if they're empty, that's fine. All right. Do I need to test this? I should test this. Let me copy this. All right. So if I refresh this now, and then I do this, right now it won't work. But if I do this, right, do that, it'll work. If I select nothing and now open this, it'll come up with the same one. Do that, select this, nothing changes, nothing changes. Okay, that does indeed fix it. Let's leave that there for a second longer. And now what I also want to do is I want to see if I can add something here. I basically just add this line and then just inverted that. And I think that's gonna be the update. And I think I'm okay with pushing that to beta and see how that works. Deploy beta. I think that's okay. I hope there isn't anything temp that I have to worry about at the moment. Alright, I'm gonna let him know that it's being pushed. Chameleon, that is. Oh no. And my test code is this. All right, I gotta get going. I'm starving. It's late, and I'm tired. But thanks for anybody who popped by. And if you're wondering about the title of this episode, Feature API, I was thinking there's some things like larger scale stuff I want to do, and it's gonna be a bit of a slower evolution. But basically, features like this shouldn't get loaded in. Now, there's not a lot of code in that, but it all adds up. And there's a boilerplate and all this stuff. And there's already features like, for example, the GIF animation recorder thing that loads all the, the import, export, replay GIF, right? It loads the library it needs to do the GIF work only at this point. Maybe not even here, right? An emoji only loads the emojis when it's enabled, things like that. So there's already assets each of the features loads in secondarily, right? But each feature has a bunch of boilerplate code, and they're not super tiny. They're like 5 to 10K, even like no do nothing features, right? Now, it could improve that, but it'll still add up. So what I would like to do is I would like to split every feature into the tiniest piece of code that determines if the feature needs to be loaded. and then the rest of it, right? So even the JavaScript itself is actually going to be in a file that's only loaded on demand. And then that way we should be able to load in a lot more features more easily, have a longer list of little things. And then obviously they should be in a build process and rolled into a single file and all that sort of stuff. It's, you know, I'm actually impressed it's gotten this far on this feature system. I mean, it's 270K. Like, the features almost have as much code in them as the core engine. In fact, the core script is only 216K. So the features are now have more code in them. They don't have necessarily more working code because they have a lot of boilerplate and things like that. But yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what the title was about. It popped into my head just when I was thinking about these things before I started. And yeah, that's that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for your support, Patreon, Ko-fi, and all that stuff.